Okay, welcome back. Hopefully you've been with us for all of our iron reviews. We appreciate you sticking with us as this evolves. We really are working on our production and our information quality, and we think we're ready to do some driver information.
Finally ready to do some drivers. Yeah, took a little bit.
It's and that's it. You know, there's what we looked at data. There's billions of lines of data, basically.
Yeah, literally billions of lines of data that we have on shafts and heads and all that stuff. And it's trying to determine, what are we looking at here? There's so much information. And to be honest, all the clubs are pretty good these days. There's not really all bad clubs. So how do we differentiate on which ones are better or worse for what people is what we're trying to get across.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. And that's what we're here to explain. We're not going to do a driver review today, right? We're going to explain the parameters. We're going to explain the numbers. And plenty of people only come in halfway, and I'm just going to reference them this video.
Okay.
But what a really concise job. We've managed to boil down these billions of data into 5 key areas of a driver test.
Right.
So do you want to take it away, like explain?
Sure,
maybe
yeah.
the tour
So
test?
I'll explain what we do for testing to begin with anyway. So we're going to do testing at 95 miles an hour and 110. We thought about going lower speeds than that, but it basically looks like the 95 and everything just goes closer together. So there's not as much differentiator. So you can obviously interpolate towards what it would do at lower speeds. Then we obviously did a lot of different points on the club. We do a 9-point test, which is 3/4 inch off center, so 3/4 inch toe, 3/4 inch heel from the center, from high up and low down. So I got 9 points around, which is a good test for like maximum handicap. What we found is all that information was kind of difficult to decipher. So what really people are looking for is where do they hit it on the golf club, especially the mishits, the higher handicaps, towards the toe or towards the heel, and which ones are better in those spots. Then we did a consistency rating, right, which is based off the just 1/4 inch off center, so just right around where most tour players and better players hit it for the most part, in the center of the golf club. And that's a consistency rating. What we're looking for there really is, is the ball spinning the same as you mishit it right around the center? So does the flight look the same? Does the spin and launch look the same? You get similar distance. So that's kind of a consistency rate of the drivers. There's a lot of stuff there. There's a lot of information.
Yeah. So let's take that on the fly for a second. Let's give everyone the basics. So our robots set 0 angle of attack, 0 path, 0 face.
Right.
The 2 tests we're going to do is the 95 and, like you said, the 110.
Yep.
Every video you're going to see until we announce it is going to be the 95 miles an hour test.
Right. Yep.
And it's actually going to be on the sheet in the top right-hand corner. We believe there's going to be a 95 mile an hour indicator.
Right.
And exactly what I said, slower than that, just shrink the graph.
Yeah, exactly.
110 is going to be different data.
But there is difference, We found some drivers that, really perform better at 110 than they do at lower speeds. So I think it's good to do 2 different speeds.
Yep, 100%. And you will see some of the numbers fluctuate because spin increases as speed increases,
right.
Those kind of things. So now let's look at the five ratings that we've got. The toe rating is going to be based off of the 9-point test.
Yep.
Tell us how you got that.
And basically what we look at there is we look at the 2 points on the toe, right? So basically people tend to hit it a high toe or low heel as a predominant way of hitting people hit it. If you think about it, when you hit a golf club and you go up and down, it's the height the ball's off the ground and the toe and the heel are kind of where predominantly hit. So what we look at for the toe is basically the center toe and the high center toe. And then the same's true in the heel. We look at the center heel and the low center heel. So, depending on where you tend to miss it, that's definitely something you would want to look at, which driver works the best.
And you looked at basically how offline it was and how much distance it dropped off. Yeah. And then we gave it a rating.
Exactly. Based on how it does compared to everybody else.
1 would be very, very bad. 5 would be amazing.
Exactly.
Perfect. So you got heel and toe. Then we've got this new one, which we've hashed out a lot.
Yeah, we really just struggle with this one a bit, but we'll explain how it works.
So everybody wants distance. Everybody wants the ball to go far. They want it to go fast. And the robot, we strike it all over the place. We strike it in the center. Every driver's good nowadays.
Right.
Every driver at the center is good. And then at 95 miles an hour, some of the issues we have is that they all go, the 12 goes further than the 8 because it gets in the air and stays in the air longer.
At 95 miles an hour, right?
Right.
And the 8 would win at 110, so that doesn't really mean a lot.
So we've had to negate that. So what did you do? What the main factors that you put in, and then maybe what was the baseline that you took us from?
Yeah, so basically on the speed factor, basically we're looking at ball speed, right? So really what we want to know is the club head speed is really similar. I mean, the robot's plus or minus a 1/10 of a miles an hour or so, but it's very consistent. But different clubs have different, smash factors or COR or whatever. And we don't just look at the center one, but we look at the 4 outside there, just a 1/4 inch off center. So basically, in the sweet spot, how much ball speed do you get? And it's somewhat relative to loft, right? So when you add loft, you add spin. Add spin, you lose ball speed. So we had to, kind of adjust for the different lofts. So all the 8 degrees are in one category, the 9s are in, one category, the 10s, and 10.5s, and then the 12s and the 11s. So they kind of separated out. So basically, the speed number is basically how hot the face is in the whole center area of the club.
Relative to
everybody else's
clubs in the loft category that it's
right, exactly. Right.
So we're not comparing 8s to 12s, we're not comparing 10s to 9s. Right. It's basically all, as you're looking at 8, it's just how hot is that relative to the baseline 8 degrees, right? Which I think is great. I think it's a pretty exciting number.
Yeah, it's difficult to kind of come up with a way to look at that. Everyone wants to know how hot it is, but you can't really look at distance because you get an 8-degree driver. Well, if you hit up on it 10 degrees, the 8-degree driver wins. If you hit down on it, and at different speeds, different things happen. So, it has to be fit correctly to you to get those optimal launch and spin. But at the end of the day, how hot is the face off the center? How fast is the ball coming off? That's really the determining factor on how much potential distance you have in one club.
Perfect. And then we're looking down in the bottom left here. We've got it's the consistency rating. So again, it's the same. It's the tour test.
Yep.
And it is kind of what you explained at the beginning. This rating is purely based on when you do hit it in that sweet spot area.
Yeah, as the flight looks similar. So as the spin stay very much the same, or relatively the same, and the launch angle stay the same, and does the thing fly pretty much the same way. On that center section of the golf club where most of the tour players and better players hit it.
Yeah.
Predominantly.
And then we've got our coin number, our trademark number, which is your
spin launch, right? And spin is just that. It's spin divided by the launch of the golf club. So you can't get around tweaking it by having lower loft clubs or higher loft clubs. And the reason we came up with that is we first did this a couple of years ago. We had a Cobra driver, way lower spin than everything else. Just happened to be a little bit lower loft is why. But relative to its launch angle, it was kind of right in line. So it kind of was misleading. So what we're doing with that number is, it's basically spin divided by launch. And we test all the clubs the same with the same impact and stuff. So if you see a higher spin number on it, that's going to be a higher spin driver. And some people need spin.
Yes.
A lot of people need spin, especially with all these low spin drivers, especially lower speeds. And then obviously, you get the guys that are steeper with more speed. You're looking for the lowest spin one. So keep the spin rate down.
And that's what I love about what we've done here. None of this is sales tactics.
No,
none of this is your opinion or my opinion. This is the robot, the numbers, and it should be. Let's just use an example. There's a guy and he gets fit for an 8-degree driver, or the assumption is he needs an 8-degree.
Right.
This data allows him to look at all the 8 degrees and potentially see which one's hotter.
Right.
Look at the 8 degrees, see which
one's better on the toe if you hit it there, or which one's more consistent if you're a better player.
Where the spin launch is the lowest.
Right. Yep.
And then how consistent it is from the middle. What more do you need as a player?
Yeah, that's about as much. We have almost too much information.
And obviously this is going to filter into our software as we go. So when you come into our fittings, you're gonna experience all of this data with your fitter, and they're going to be able to really share that with you and use it to.
Right. I mean, they have a lot of it now. It just be an easier way to show it to people. And see what the information is.
So hopefully lots of people end up watching this video, and then look out. All of the driver stuff is coming real soon.
Right. Within the next 30 days, we'll probably get all of this year's drivers out. And the plan is going forward next year is to, we do these test these, quite a bit before they come out for the most part, is to, be able to do these, right at the launch date.
Yeah.
But it took a lot of figuring out to try and figure out what numbers in here you can clearly see things and what are customers and people looking for in clubs.
Yeah. Well, we're nearly a year down the line, but we wanted it to be perfect. So
yeah, I'm a little bit of a problem though. I'm a bit of a perfectionist to say the least, and so we've been drilling through these numbers for quite a while before we came up with a format that seems to make sense.
I believe it's worth the wait. So
okay,
we appreciate it.